Welcome to Navigate Your Future. So our class objectives today is to provide everybody with an introduction to navigate your future for career seekers. So some of the skills that you will learn, we're going to provide a basic content to explore careers using a couple of really cool U.S. government resources, and also provide information on where and how to explore Plano Public Library's online tools and resources. We've got some great resources that are available to library card holders. And they're very versatile and have a lot of great information and a lot of great tools for whatever point you are at your career stage, whether you're looking to explore and just starting out, you're looking for a career change. We have some great resources to share with you today. My name is Trey. I'm going to be your presenter. I guess I should have led with that. My apologies. In the chat, managing the chat for me is Jennifer. Say hi, Jennifer.
Whoops. Hello.
So, a lot of times you may be looking at a career change, let's say, or exploring beginning a career. And sometimes those might require looking at some colleges or looking at some different certifications that you might receive at maybe a technical school or something of that like. But whatever choice or path that you're kind of exploring and looking at, one thing is always kind of something you need to keep in the back of your mind is the importance of human capital. So what is human capital? Anybody want to hazard a guess? You can drop it in the chat line and share with us and give you a few moments to think about that. What is human capital? Any takers?
Somebody said networking, question mark.
Yes, that can include.
Another person said human resources.
In a way, probably so. Yeah, human capital is your whole collective, your knowledge, your talents, your experiences, and the skills that you possess. So yes, networking, if you're really good and talented at networking and have good connections with a lot of different people, that's part of your human capital. So yes, that's a very good one. So as you're exploring and looking at what your new career might be or where you would like to go in your current career, I guess that was a third option I forgot to mention. So you could be starting out totally in a career path. You may want to advance in your current career, or you may want to change careers altogether. But in any one of those points, kind of think to yourself, what are your top 5 skills or talents that you possess? Kind of make a mental list. Or you can make a physical list and jot it down and post it on a dry erase board to always consider and reflect upon. But think of your top 5 skills and talents that you possess. And also, what are the 3 ways you could develop your knowledge, skills, and talents? Kind of keep that in the back of your mind. So as you're exploring, you're always going to be kind of thinking of these and kind of how you can invest in your own human capital, whether you're going to pursue a post-secondary education or you're seeking additional training and skills development within your current career. Anytime you're developing your capital is going to increase your productivity. So one of the resources that we're going to look at today, and this is one of the U.S. federal government resources, is the Occupational Outlook Handbook. And believe it or not, a U.S. government resource is pretty well done here. It is a product of the Bureau of Labor Statistics, And it provides you, and we have the URL there, and I believe Jennifer will drop it in the chat for y'all as well. But you have the ability to browse through a lot of interesting occupations. You'll learn a lot of information about what the duties or educational and training requirements, maybe some certification requirements for different career fields. You'll get to explore some of the pay scale, how much certain careers are paid at different stages. And you'll also kind of get a sneak peek at what they're projecting the outlook for the occupation. In other words, they'll provide a projection of what the expectation is for that career field to grow. How many jobs is it going to increase in the future? I always like to use the example if you're going to look at the outlook of something, you're probably not going to look at a steam locomotive boiler maker as a very high demand growth industry. Not anymore, not in this century, but maybe medical or anything in healthcare or anything in computer programming, electronics. Those are going to be your high growth industries. And you can also search by the field. You can search by the pay scale or the job projection. You've got a lot of resources here, and we just have a screenshot here. At the end, we'll have some time if you'd like to explore. We'll jump over into these actual resources and kind of play around some bit, because they're loaded with tons and tons and tons of information. And just a quick note, the Bureau of Labor Statistics provides information on duties performed, educational required, salary and pay, and they have a note here, and this is incorrect because they actually increased it, projection through 2028, I believe. I had my notes here, 2026, and I've noticed that they've already bumped up the projections through 2028. Another one of the U.S. government resources is the Occupational Information Network. A lot of times it's just simply referred to as ONET, online. And this has a lot of similar resources to the Occupational Handbook, or Occupational Outlook Handbook, rather. So the Occupational Information Network is provided by the U.S. Department of Labor, Employment and Training Administration. Excuse me. You can also browse by the occupations. You can also search by what they call career clusters in this resource. You can search by industry, job zones, and also outlook for a particular industry. And you can also learn information about the task and the skills needed, the work activities, the education credentials one might need for a particular working field. They also have additional information as you drill into this website, have information more on like the abilities you might need or your work activities, and the work context and the job zone kind of describe your working environment. I know that sounds kind of somewhat obscure, but if you don't like working with a lot of heavy dust, grit, hazardous chemicals and materials, maybe a particular career field is not for you. Something more, less hazardous, perhaps. So you've got a different ways of looking at it. You can get to explore them by your interest in work styles and kind of your values on those. And you also get to explore related occupations and see what some allied industries might be. Maybe one particular career field is not quite what you're interested in, but there may be one that's kind of related that might fit your skills, your strengths, your experience, your knowledge base really, really well. And it also has some links to job openings on the web, on the internet. So it's got some great resources. So other options for experiencing careers. Some of you may have explored some of these. Obviously, a lot of people, you may have heard about internships, getting internships. That's a great way to gain experience and expose yourself to opportunities in a career field. So finding internships, that's always sometimes a challenge. So finding internships, some of the best ways to locate those are networking. So if you have someone had mentioned networking, yes, that's a great way. Simply talk with family, if you're in school still, talk with teachers, talk with some of the counselors to help find some of those internship opportunities. The library also has some good resources, and we'll talk about some of those a little later on helping locate internships. There's online resources such as internships.com, wayup.com. Those are just two. I'm sure there's many more possibilities out there. And if you're exploring a particular career area or particular industry, sometimes it might be good to kind of research some of the businesses in those fields, and a lot of times company websites. Reviewing some of the company websites will help identify that an employer is interested in hiring an intern. A lot of major corporations actually have internship programs, and you can find information about that through their probably HR department. So it's always a good thing to explore. Another way is to job shadow. So just simply spend a day or a few days observing a professional on the job. Sometimes that's not so easy, but doesn't hurt to ask, explore it. This introduces you to the day-to-day operations of a career, something a little outside of what maybe one of these websites or a encyclopedia type article on a particular job field might share. You get to see the day-to-day operations firsthand. And it'll help you decide if that's a good fit and a good fit for you. Job shadowing also help you build a network with professionals, which can also help you find a job or an internship down the road. And again, just very similar to locating the internships through a lot of corporate human resources departments. You might be able to talk to some of the HR departments, and they might be able to find you a place where you can job shadow for a bit. Also, simply interviewing professionals in the various fields. If you're interested in a particular career field, find someone who does that job that you're interested in, and just ask them if they borrow a few moments of their time and just talk to them. Ask them about what got them into the field. What do they like about the field? Really pick their brain for a bit. And finding those interview opportunities where professionals, once again, that's talk with family, talk with friends, teachers or former teachers, and the school counselors, to find those interview opportunities. Because there's undoubtedly somebody's going to know somebody that can get you in contact with an area that you're interested in. And then there's our websites, such as Careers Out There. We have the URL here on the slide. And this website resources has recorded interviews that you can watch. So you can browse through a number of different career fields, and they've already interviewed professionals in fields, and you get to watch those. So if you're a little shy just yet about making your own connections and interviewing a professional, there's other opportunities. Check out some of the pre-recorded ones. Are there any questions so far?
No questions at this point.
Okay, cool. Feel free to pop those in if you have them. So now we're going to talk real quick about, well, not real quick, but we're going to introduce the resources from the Plano Public Library. We do have quite a a few resources that are really, really, really useful. And this slide here just shows a few of the really useful resources for career seekers. And the library provides many resources that help you invest in your human capital, whether it's refreshing your knowledge or learning new skills. We've got a lot of resources for you. So we'll be taking a look at Ferguson's Career Guidance Center is one of the first ones. We're looking at Learning Express Library 3.0. We're looking at lynda.com. We're looking at tutor.com. And we're going to be looking at Reference USA. Has anyone used these resources previously? Are they something you've explored?
So far, we've had somebody say no, not yet.
Okay. Excellent. That's why we're here. I know some people, if you have kids, may be familiar with the tutor.com to help, with that quantum physics homework question that they just can't figure out why elementary schools would do. You probably have some experience with tutor.com, but it also has some really good adult resources. So that's why we're looking at that one today. We have some other comments pop in.
We've had a few people who are saying that they do use lynda.com.
Yes, that's probably by far one of the most common ones people are familiar with. Okay, well, excellent. So there's some people know about some things. So with Ferguson's Career Guidance Center, there is so much in this resource useful. This is available through the library's website, and I can afterwards, after we go through these, I can walk through everybody how to find these in our online databases. So you can create an account for free with your Plano Public Library card. You have 3 key sections here that are probably useful in exploring careers and planning for a career change or a new career. So you've got industries and careers, and you'll be able to find a profession to suit your skills, interests, and goals. And you can browse popular careers and industries using this resource. And you can explore a whole bunch of things. You may be able to see from the slide the industries and careers has some popular industries already kind of picked out there that people have been exploring, and popular careers. So there's advertising as a popular industry they've got, computer software, and then popular careers is biomedical engineers, elementary school teachers. That's what was shown at the time on this screenshot for the page. One of the other resources is Plan Your Education. And with Plan Your Education, you can find advice and resources that you can use to reach your goals. You can explore colleges, universities, or vocational and technical schools. And you can also find financial aid directories as well through this. And the screenshot at least has the Plan Your Education still shown there. So you've got a school search that's showing you the various numbers of undergraduate schools, graduate schools, nursing schools, 4,000 vocational and tech schools. That's almost as many as the undergrad schools that are in this resource. So you've got a lot of different resources, and I don't know if you can see the small text. You also have information like for applying for student loans, work study programs, and as I mentioned, financial aid directories. And this last one, the Launch Your Career, this is part of Ferguson's. You can't see from the screenshot, unfortunately, but you can explore career skills for the modern workforce and learn helpful information such as tips for writing your resume or assistance in preparing for job interviews. 2 very key components and really positioning yourself in ahead of the pack in applying for a job, changing careers. So resume, and I don't have it here, but cover letters, very important as well. So cover letter, your resume, and some preparation for job interviews, this resource can help with. Did I see a question pop in?
Oh, I'm just putting in the database URL.
Thank you. So one of the next resources, Learning Express Library 3.0. This is also a database which is free to register with your Plano Public Library card. And you've got a lot of resources on this one. For a lot of different age group, you've got the ability to where you can do the high school equivalency center. So you've got preparing for your high school equivalency credential. But let's look at the Career Center Plus. That's the main one we're going to talk about. So with Career Center Plus, you can explore a new field or find ways to advance in your current occupation. You can also find a lot of helpful study guides or practice tests to prepare for professional exams, such as the civil service exam, law enforcement exams, nursing, plumbing, and electrical. Any kind of professional field that requires certification, they probably got a study guides and practice for. So that's a good one. The Job and Career Accelerator. Now this is a fun one. This one offers a quiz that you can take, and it helps you find a career match. So you take a quick little quiz, and that kind of runs through its little electronic brain software, and then comes out with, these are some suggested career fields you might be interested in based on your responses on this quiz. So that was a fun one to explore. And you can explore different occupations, and you can search for jobs and internships also through the Job and Career Accelerator portion of the Learning Express. Also, there's the Adult Core Skills. So with this resource, it'll help you build skills to get better in math, reading, writing, speaking, and grammar. And it also provides study materials and help you prepare to become a U.S. citizen. So you got some citizenship study and guidance on that, which may be really cool and really helpful for your career goals. Additionally, there's the Computer Skills Center. So you'll learn computer basics. Maybe you need to refresh, or you need to improve on some skills, some basic skills. So you've got basic computer skills, learn internet basics, also learn some popular software tools, such as Microsoft Office 365. Or you can learn computer graphics and illustration software, such as Adobe Illustrator or Adobe Photoshop. So if you're looking to go into something, making yourself more marketable into a graphics design, or something that's advertisement and marketing that uses the Adobe Illustrator and Adobe Photoshop creatively, you might want to practice up, refine your skills on that. You can do that with Learning Express 3.0. And there's so much more, as you can see here, of some of the areas. You've got a lot more resources here. So the next one, lynda.com. I think some of you said you already had used or were familiar with lynda.com. You've got 4 basic areas for lynda.com: the business, the technology, creative, and the certification programs. So Lynda is one of our online learning databases, and it houses thousands of courses that you can take. And you can create a free account with your Plano Public Library card. It offers a lot of educational videos that focus on a wide variety of topics, as these: business, technology, and creative. Also web development, multimedia skills. So you've got a lot of creative and design resources for studying in this as well. The courses also cover software such as Microsoft Office, the Adobe Creative Suite, and many open source applications. So if you're needing some refresher or introduction to different coding languages or different creative software packages, open source applications, you're going to find that in Lynda and then some. They have a ton of interesting things. And you can see, well, maybe you can see from the screenshot here, you can have find things and take them by skill level. So you've got the beginner, intermediate, and advanced. I've yet to see this. Each course is a collection of short videos that take you through the subject. I've yet to see one that's really over 20 minutes. They're usually broken up in smaller durations of 4, 5, 8, 10, maybe 15 minutes. At least the ones I've seen. There may be some others. So you can take them in stages at your own pace. It's really good resources. Or if you need a refresher, I have heard that people that are already working in computer coding will refer to Lynda if they forget something. You forget something, you don't have the reference right in front of you. You can find that tutorial on Lynda, find that one little short video that covers that area that you needed to refresh on or that you needed to know. Fast forward, get your information, boom, you're done. Complete your task. I heard that years ago from somebody that worked in the software industry and used Lynda in that way as kind of a cliff notes, if you will. So tutor.com, another resource from the Plano Public Library, and you can create a free account with your library card. You've got a lot of options here. You've got adult tutoring, you've got career coach. You can actually connect with a career coach, and that'll be someone to help you navigate and find a job. Some assistance with writing a cover letter or your resume, and some preparation for an interview. They also have resume review. So just like for the younger grades, where you can submit your written paper for your homework assignment for review, as an adult, you can submit a resume. Now, you might not get feedback for specific to an industry as in structure, but you might get some feedback, well, definitely get some feedback for misspelling, grammatical changes, some general things like that. But it's always great to have an extra set of eyes on something as important as your resume. You can also search online job resources through tutor.com as well. So it's a great resource, even for adults. Saw some things pop in. Do we have any questions thus far?
We do have a question. One person asked, are the courses in Lynda free? And I explained that yes, as long as you go through the databases, a section on our website, planolibrary.org. And
Yes.
then another person is asking, which areas, career areas, are now more lucrative or most lucrative considering the current situation?
That's a good question. We may have to try to explore that when we get to the end of the slide deck here, and when we go into some of the resources themselves and see if they provide any ideas to that. That's a good question. And I will also follow up with the one with the Lynda. With these library resources that are free and you create your free account with your library card, you can save your progress by doing so. So that's always good. You can, if you don't have time to sit through the entire, 2-hour collection of videos, do a few at a time. With your login, they'll save your spot and save your course as you go along. And I also forgot to mention that Linda will also link any kind of completion certificate, will link to your LinkedIn account if you happen to have a LinkedIn account. Little trivia there. All right. So one of our last resources we're talking about is the Reference USA. Now, a lot of times Reference USA, you might hear people refer to them as just simply doing business research or investment, if you're looking for an investment type research, learning the corporate structure and getting maybe some contacts for sales. A lot of sales people working in sales will research potential new clients, new customers that they can approach. But it's also a really good resource to look for jobs. They have the new section, or relatively new section, the U.S. jobs and internships, which at the time of this screenshot had 2.5 million job postings. Now, granted, I haven't looked currently to see what their landing page shows, but we can look at that in a little bit. But this links into Indeed, this connects with, rather not links in, but it connects with Indeed.com for job searches. And that's combined with Reference USA's features, really powerful search features such as the mapping tool and the business profile information. You'll get a lot more information out of your search through using Reference USA than just, say, going to a simple job search site only. You've got a lot of business information if you're wanting to refine your search for specific industries within certain areas or regions within the country or within the state or within, say, City of Plano. You can do so. And the business, researching the businesses, that's where you can really find out information about a lot of interesting stuff. The research information is predominantly publicly traded businesses, but can't talk. Publicly traded businesses, but there are many privately owned businesses that are in the database, and it's from all over the country. And the business directory type of information can provide you information that'll help with your job searches to locate those industries you're interested in. And so much more. So just real quickly, I just would like to share some upcoming classes that we have before we jump in and let y'all, we'll go into some of the resources and explore them live, so to speak. So some of our upcoming classes, we have additional classes such as the social networks for successful job search. We have the building wealth. We have upskillwithlynda.com. Virtual job interviews, prepare for success. Have a resume design class. If you're looking to take the entrepreneurial bent on things and you're looking to start your own small business, you've got the mentors with the score that are really awesome resource, great bunch of folks. And they have, they're doing a small business resources with SCORE. Also has Build Your Business with Reference USA. So if you want to expand, you already started your business or about to start your business, a class on using Reference USA to do so. How to upskill with lynda.com. And then an intro to writing a business plan. Also a very important component if you're planning to start your business. And then how to get your business on Google search and maps course. And of course, we do have a video library of courses we've done so far. They're available through our website. we're not done, but this is just the last of the slide deck before we can dump into the resources and take some questions from y'all. Have any questions so far?
We've had a couple of questions. One person is asking about the minimum age requirement for local or federally, locally or federally to start a career, and I referred him to the Office of Personnel Management, the United States Office of Personnel Management, which is generally 18 and sometimes 16.
Yeah,
And then another, yeah.
And depending on the state, I'm imagine too.
Yeah, exactly. Another person is asking, where on the website are the upcoming classes for registration and information? And I'll get them a URL for that.
Okay, thank you.
Someone is asking if there are any good resources for part-time jobs.
That's a good question too. That might be, I haven't been in Indeed in a while. Jennifer, you might be able to answer this one. That might be one of the search fields you can search for, whether it's full-time or part-time in some of the job search areas, definitely. Perhaps. Mm-hmm. Yeah, somebody has raised their hand. I'm going to jump out of here and Occupational Handbook here. Any questions before I go on? I see somebody's with a raised hand.
There are a few questions, and I'm kind of making my way through them.
Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah. So, okay. And basically, I kind of need to respond to them, and we probably just need to let people know that this is being recorded, and you will be getting an email with the URL to it, so you can go back over this.
Yes, and there's a handout set notes that you'll also get the sent via that email as well. So while she's answering some of those, hopefully we don't tie her up too bad, but is there any career field or anything that anybody's burning to know about in any of these resources? We'll just walk through some of these.
Someone is saying LPC. I'm not entirely sure what that stands for.
LPC?
LPC, license. I can't think what that would be. Somebody's saying counselor. Another person is just saying medical field in general. Okay. Well, as an example here, if y'all can hopefully still see my screen, I didn't goof up anything. Here on the Occupational Outlook Handbook, you've got a column here to the left where it's got occupational groups. You've got a lot of different search areas. You got an index. They happen to be featuring occupational here, diagnostic medical sonographer. But you've got some select occupations by, you got drop down things. So the 2019 median pay, education level, on the job training, you got a number of things, or you can just jump straight in and let's see, healthcare. That's, I know from a previous class we did, Navigate Your Future. Somebody looking for like a licensed practical nurse or RN or something like that. So we just jumped in here to the healthcare occupations, and it's broken down, as you can see. I'll not scroll too fast. You can see it's got practically an A to Z, the different allied fields. Nursing assistants and orderlies. And so that kind of gives you a brief bit of information about that. Let's go up here because I think one of the questions from the last class was for this one. So the nurse, I can't pronounce it. Don't make me pronounce it. I'll tongue twister myself today. Nurse midwives, nurse practitioners. So you've got a summary
block here. We're at the 2019 median pay. So it shows you the median pay. It shows you the typical entry-level education. On-job training, number of jobs as of 2018, and the job outlook. So it's 26% job growth. It's growing much faster than the national average. And if you're not sure what one of these sections means, that's what this little question mark is for. I'll give you the definition of what that data means for that field. But then you've got also a brief overview. So the work environment, how do you become this career field, the job outlook, state and area data, but also might go overlooked. You've got much more information on these tabs up here under the same section. So click on the tab, what do they do? Then you have a lot more information of what that career field does. Work environment, a little bit more information presented different. Job outlook, let's see, that gives a little bit more information, some more little graphs and some charts. And then similar occupation, I mentioned earlier about the similar occupation. So we've chosen this one, but here are some similar occupations that it's suggesting. So you can kind of explore some of those and go through. And then more information, what is that? That's just some good contact information. I forgot to mention that in the section where you're trying to find internships or trying to find you know, a way to shadow, follow along with a professional or interview a professional. I forgot to mention that any field that has a professional organization would be a really good place to also explore. Find, in this case, let's see, the American Nurses Association or the American Association of Nurse Practitioners. If you can find a professional organization for one of the fields, explore their literature. They probably have a lot of good information, and they might be a good source of networking information to connect with someone that's willing to talk to you about that particular career or that particular industry.
We had someone interested interested in being a licensed professional counselor.
Oh, okay. That's what that was for. Okay, let's see. Back up here. Just go back to the start. Licensed professional counselor, is that what they said?
Licensed professional counselor.
So there's a number of different areas. That may still be in the medical, possibly. I'll go back and look at that. Because you've got, this is broken down, you got a lot of different things. You got mental health counselors, school and career counselors, genetic counselors, rehabilitation. So I'm gonna go back and see if that was still under the umbrella of healthcare, possibly. And see if they already have a section for that, maybe. Or not. Let me just try broad. Let's just do counselor.
Okay, so they're also saying mental health counselor, if that works.
Yep. I can find it. So what does that fall under? Oh, community and social service is the higher level there. So yes, okay. So you could search broadly on the community and social service. So this is kind of what they're looking at under this one. Let's just go back one. Community and social service occupations. So this is listing kind of all the allied. So this is, okay, so here's some marriage and family therapists, rehabilitation counselors. So this is kind of the higher level. So social and human service assistants, social work. Yeah, so this is where you'd find a lot of information and kind of drill down on which specialty area you'd be interested in going into. As you can see, also, I don't, or maybe you can't see because I keep scrolling too fast, a range of entry level educations from master's degree to master's degree, high school diploma or equivalent, depending on what area, and not too great of a spread of median pay between, I mean, not great difference, but it is a little different depending on educational level. So some of the areas of the bachelor are, so like this bachelor's for here, the probation officer, the bachelor's degree and the median pay is actually higher than the person that requires a master's degree in that one instance. And similar with the substance abuse bachelor's degree versus the master's degree for rehabilitation counselor. So it's a lot of information. I'm sorry, wrong one. Yeah, that's the right one. A lot of information to kind of digest and peruse there with that. So I'm going to jump over to ONET. Anybody want to explore ONET? You've got to find occupations. So you've got career cluster, search or industry. You've got a lot of different things you can look at. Or you got the advanced search feature where you plug in abilities, interests, knowledge, skills. And I'll be honest, I haven't spent a lot of time exploring these to see how easy they are to coax out results. Somebody's asking about hot jobs or what the job outlook might be currently. Here's their little list of hot technologies that are included in employer job postings. So that's kind of a hot item right here on to the right of what is being looked for. Out of curiosity to see what that is. Huh. That's a lot of stuff. And it's alphabetical, which doesn't seem to be that helpful. So let's see what that's right, counseling. Oh, I misspelled it. My bad. So you've got a number of things. So counseling psychologist, you're showing a very bright outlook. See what the detail section is. So here's some of the core. It's ranked by importance. Here's a category of what the field entails and the task, and how that relates to how important it is to the field. Some technology skills that one needs to be familiar with. In fact, let me go back one because that will answer one more. Mental health counselor from one of our attendees' questions. So here are the list of some tasks. Here's the technology skills that one would need. And here's some knowledge, some of the knowledge base one might need. Some of the abilities, work activities, work context, and you can click on, so you can click on these little plus signs next to those and get more information. So let's see, let's just see customer and personal service. And then it gives you, that just gives you related occupations with that similar knowledge skill. So who knew that mental health counselors and flight attendants were related to that particular knowledge skill? Ought to be obvious, right? Customer and personal service. Any other questions? I seem to be droning on. Anybody else want to try a career field? See what we get?
Some person is interested in being a contact tracer. That's a really popular topic right now.
It falls, looks like maybe under community health workers, possibly. Yeah, this might be, I'm sorry, I was reading quietly, reading the summary here to see if this might fall in that. So it's got a bright outlook. So here's a list of some of the maintain client records, plans, notes, appropriate forms, some of the basic tasks, skills of active listening, social perceptiveness, speaking, writing, reading comprehension. As you can imagine, some of the work activities is some external community engagement kind of outreach kind of work task. So anybody else? What about one of these other resources like Ferguson's or something? Yeah, so you got, here's the section that you can see on the screenshot under Ferguson's. So launching your career. Got a lot of great resources, and here's the section on the apprenticeships and internships. So let's look and see if this actually has almost like a lot of stuff to read, more like an encyclopedia article. And here's some basically an article on a little more detail than what we covered on finding the internships. Sorry, what was the other question earlier? Oh, part-time jobs. Yeah, and here's the career interest assessment. So this one, I'm not logged in, am I? Oh yeah, so we can begin the career assessment. So this is under Ferguson's, under the Career Guidance Center, the career interest assessment. I'm just gonna begin. So you just have a whole battery of questions. Do you like to build kitchen cabinets? I'm gonna say no for me because I'll probably have to go buy some more tools and I'll probably have to buy more wood and spend more time than the DIY plan called for. No. So this just has a, want to study space travel? Sure. So it has a whole collection, a battery of questions over, looks like 10 pages worth of things. It might be monotonous, but in the end, you might have some fun results and proposal of a career field that you hadn't considered before that might suit your interest if you answered honestly to these questions. Any further questions?
A lot of people are asking about links to this class and others.
Oh, absolutely.
So we might want to show them Plano Library Learns.
Ah, yes. Oops. Come on. Plano Library Learns. We have that linked off our, whoops.
I think I usually just type in planolibrarylearns.org.
Oh, that's true. Oops, you want to put a space. Yeah, I just need to remember that and I always go the other way because I'm usually here in the building. But that's not very useful when nobody else is here in the building. And this gets you straight into a lot of different resources. Scroll slowly through here.
And generally, once they put up these classes, if you do the read more on these, you will see that they've included a lot of the URLs and links to the different resources we've used in the classes.
Correct, correct. So for, have we done any of these others? What's this? For instance, here's the Expand Your Job Search with the Reference USA. It was done earlier in April. And there's the handout that we have here that you can download or you can watch the video. So it'll probably give us, to get all this edited and get it posted, it'll probably be about a week at least before you get the email with the links to all of this, but it will go out to everybody that had registered for the class. Any other questions before we wrap up? Something that we didn't cover or overlooked a question?
We might want to tell people about Book a Librarian.
Oh, yes. Yes, yes, yes. So if you get stumped, did I just see a link on any of this? No.
No, I think it's back on our webpage under About. Yeah, I don't think it's on that one.
Okay. Yeah, so if you get stumped on something, since we're at the moment closed to the general public, we still are doing the Book a Librarian. You get to book some time with a librarian. We're going to do it virtually. So if you have trouble navigating any of our databases or just unsure of where to find the information in any of our resources, please feel free to go here, to Book a Librarian, fill out the form, and we'll get that sent to any of our librarians that expert in that particular subject, because we have a lot of variety of expertise across a lot of different things, but you'll get some time virtually, one-on-one time to help with any of our database, or you get stuck just setting up your smartphone or tablet to do any of our e-resources as well. We can help with that. And just will note that we can't offer advice on investment, medical, or legal, but we can help with many other things. All right. I need to walk through that under about. Help from a librarian and the book a librarian. Any other questions?
I think we've answered most, hopefully all of them.
Okay. Well, thank everybody for joining us this afternoon. Hope you all have a great rest of your afternoon.